Hi everyone, and welcome to a new video on leg flexibility training for SLIPSTREAM. Before we start, I'll just reiterate, only work to your own ability, stretch to strain, not to pain. Don't bounce, don't have someone push you. Get warm and stay warm, and just keep trying every day. Best way to warm up is to go for a little run or something like that, but I'll show you some other ways. We'll do 10 star jumps here, and then we'll do 5 burpees just to get us nice and warm. You can also do skipping or just anything that'll kind of get you moving a little bit before you start stretching. Alright, now we're going to do some squats just to get some blood into our legs and get our muscles working. Make sure your knees are going over your toes and you keep your heels flat on the ground. Do some squats now in sumo stance or second position, depending on what sport you do. Make sure your feet are turned out about 45 degrees, and when you squat down, your knees are over your toes and your bottom goes in line with your knees. Go into a lunge now, same thing, lunging our back knee down to the floor and pushing up. All we're really doing is making sure we're getting some blood into our muscles, so we're not going to hurt ourselves when we start stretching. Make sure you do both sides, otherwise you'll have a lopsided split, and it takes ages to fix that. Great. We've broken this up into 3 levels. The first level we'll do is a nice basic level for everybody. So this is our standing stretches. This is a sumo stance. Again, get your bottom in line with your knees as you can. You can rest your elbows on your knees and try and push your knees away with your elbows. Hold that for a while. You can hold it for 10 seconds, and if that feels too easy, you can start popping your shoulder through like that, pushing your knees out to the back to try and increase the stretch a little bit more. Make sure you control it and you're not snapping the movements or moving very fast. This is a basic runner stretch, I think it might be called. You can see that I've got my heel on the ground, my foot's totally flat there. If you struggle to do that, it's okay to kind of pop up on your toes like I'm doing here. It's more important to have the other leg completely straight. After you've held that for a while, switch over to the other side. Same thing. You can see my toes are pointing away from my other foot as well. The foot that's flat on the ground, the toes are pointing totally away. If you can't get your foot like that, that's fine. Again, if you're having trouble, go up on your toes. You can lift that heel off the ground. Remember to breathe while you're stretching. It's very helpful to breathe. Alright, now we're doing a standing straddle. Make sure you keep your back straight, you're not rounding your back, your knees are straight and you're leaning forward. You can have your hands on the ground, just taking some of the weight. Both hands over to one foot and stretch. Make sure you don't bend your knee when you move over to that foot. You can grab the outside of your leg and the outside of your foot. You can either walk your hands around or just swing around like I do. I've got my head on my shin there. If you can't reach that, that's fine. Just have it any way you can. It's more important to have your legs straight. People like this one, moving between front, middle and back. I don't really find it does anything, but I thought I'd show it to you guys in case you wanted to try it. I'm going to go up into a standing forward bend now. So keeping our hands flat on the floor, pushing your legs back as straight as you can get them. If you can't go 100% straight, that's okay. Just go to where you start feeling a strain in the back of your hamstrings, which are those muscles in the back of your legs. Good. And then straighten your legs. If you can't reach the ground, that's fine. Just hang forward with straight legs. Make sure you bend your knees when you stand up. Alrighty, we'll do some dynamic stretching now. We'll just kick, make sure we're keeping our knees straight. We're not swinging our leg as hard as we can. We're just going a bit above 90 degrees. If you can get your leg above 90 degrees, you can do splits because essentially both legs are just in 90 degrees, which makes a 180, and then you've got a split. So we've done front, side, and now we'll do my nerve stretchy one. So this one, flex your foot, and you want to think about kicking your opposite ear. You should feel that down the outside of your leg, into your toes sometimes as well. If you stretch your nerves, it helps you get more flexible. So straight legs, straight back, pointed feet, accepting your nerve stretch, and try not to kick anything. Okay, so we'll do 5 front kicks, nice pointed toes, straight knees, belly button in, head nice and tall, out to the side, kick, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. And now our nerve stretch. 5 kicks like that as well. Flex foot, kick across your body, trying to kick your opposite ear. You'll notice I don't do any back kicks. That's just because my back hurts a bit and I can't really do that flexibility anymore. Okay, we're getting warm for splits now. The first thing we'll do is a lunge for our hip flexor. Try and keep your back up quite nice and high. Really push into that back leg. What I'll show you here, so now I've collapsed over my front leg. It might look like I'm deeper in the stretch, but I'm actually just further forward over my front leg, which isn't really stretching my hip flexor. So now you can see my back's straight, I'm up a bit higher, but I'm actually stretching that back leg a lot more. If you want to feel a bit of a deeper stretch, put your outside, we'll call that the outside hand down, and kind of tilt your body over that way. That's opening up your hip flexor even more, and you should feel more of a stretch down the front of your hip into your back a bit. Good. Now push your back knee up off the floor. This is getting even more of a stretch. Try and get that back leg really, really straight. Head nice and high, pushing into your back hip. We'll do a quad stretch now. If you can do this one, just move your foot back a bit, your front foot back, pick up your back leg and push your heel into your bottom. Again, try and push your hip forward, belly button in, back up nice and high. Don't lean forward over that front leg. If you have trouble with that one, hold on to something, stand up, and you can stretch again like this. Cool. After that one, we'll get back down on the floor and we'll do a hamstring stretch. Now make sure here your back is nice and straight. Don't round your back yet, okay? So stretching forward, keeping our back straight, that should really hit out that muscle in the hamstring in the front. I fold down over my knee now. You notice that my foot is still flexed. I'm still stretching the nerve as well as the muscle. Now I point my foot and I move my hands forward, and now I'm in a full kind of hamstring and back stretch. This is a good one for splits. Cool, we'll move around to the side and we'll warm up our middle split stretch while we're here. So this is a half split. You can see my other knee is bent, one leg's flat, straight out to the side. I'm checking it's in line. This is what it looks like from the side. You want the foot of your straight leg to be in line with your knee, and both things are in line with your hips. Coming back now to the front, we'll do a stretch for our outside leg because we've just stretched our inside leg. Okay, we fold our foot across in front of us. I like to try and keep it at 90 degrees so it's straight across. If that's too hard, you can move the heel back or you can move it forward and you'll feel it stretch different parts of your leg. Put it back in position. You hold that for a little while, breathe out and stretch forward over your leg. Try and keep nice and long. Try and drive that back hip of the straight leg into the floor. Hold that for a while. Make sure you keep breathing, guys. Alright, time for splits, everyone's favourite party trick. Start from this position and just slowly slide down. Only work to your ability. If that's where you can get to, just hold it there for a little while. Gradually move down until, if you're at this stage, you can get flat on the floor. If that's comfortable, you can take your hands off and try and hold it there. Try and keep your back up as high as you can. Try not to lean forward at all over your front leg. Good. We can add a twist to it if we like, just adding more of a stretch to that back hip flexor. Point both your feet. Cool. Now we will bend forward over our front leg, and this is much more of a hamstring stretch. You can see that it's almost like I'm just standing up straight on the floor, but I'm holding my front foot up to my head. Not really much of a stretch in the back leg there. Again, only work to your level. If you're having trouble even getting very low at all, you can use some blocks or something. You can put your hand on something and take some pressure off your leg muscles. I'm using handstand blocks because that's what I have near, but you can use anything you want. You can use milk bottles, you can just find something. And hold yourself off. Remember, consistency is key in this. If you start doing this stuff every day, you'll get better. You don't have to get great straight away. Some of the other problems I see in splits is people will turn out to the side, so they're half in a middle split, half in a front split. Kind of call that dancer splits. The other one is, you can't really see it there, but my back foot is way behind me and I'm in a big circle. Try and get your legs in a straight line. Alrighty, we'll do our other leg now. I'll just talk you through it. So we're in a hip flexor stretch, making sure our back is up nice and straight. We're pushing through our back hip. We're not folding forward over our front leg. We'll reach over to the side, hand on the outside of our leg, other hand up and over our head. So we're really trying to push through that back hip to get a nice deep stretch. Good. Push our back leg straight so our knee is off the floor, still pushing through that back hip. Remember to breathe. Nice and easy. Great. We'll put that back knee down, move our front foot back, pick up our back leg. Okay, picking up our back foot and just pulling it towards our bottom. I start cramping up really bad here. You can see my foot getting further and further away. I keep holding anyway and finish. Got to stretch that cramp out. Ouch. All right. And straight front leg, toes up to the ceiling, foot flex, nice straight back looking forwards. Trying to get our belly button on our thigh. And just hold. And now head down onto your shin or wherever you can get it. Still a flexed foot. Stretching forwards. Make sure you're still breathing. And now point your foot and keep stretching forwards. You should feel the stretch in a slightly different place now. Good. And now change to the side. We're going to go into our half middle split here. Make sure your knee is totally straight and your foot is in line with your hips and your knees. And hold. Keep breathing, pushing your hips into the floor, trying not to arch your back too much. Great. Now up onto our hands and move around to stretch the outside of our leg. Fold our foot across 90 degrees in front of our body. Push your back hip into the floor. Keep your head up nice and high. Try and keep that back leg straight. And now fold down over your front knee, getting a deeper stretch. You can really kind of roll your back hip around now and push it into the floor as hard as you can. All right, hold and breathe. When you finish there, pushing back up, so we're on our heel and our knee, and sliding down into splits. You can hold it a bit off the ground to begin with if you're feeling a bit tight still. And when you're ready, you can slide down until you're completely flat or to as low as you can go, and just hold it there. Make sure you keep breathing. Try and keep your back up nice and straight. Don't fold over that front leg yet. Make sure your legs are in a straight line. Hands up off the ground if you can. If you can't, you can just keep them there, but it's better if you could because it'll get a bit of strength into those muscles. Twisting around, so you want to turn so you're facing over your front leg. That's just getting a bit of a deeper stretch into your back leg. Now fold forwards over your front leg, getting a nice big hamstring stretch. And you can kind of relax and fall asleep here as well. It looks like you're stretching, but if you're flexible, you can just kind of lie down and cheat. Good, we'll get ready for our middle splits now. The first thing we're going to do is our froggy. We've already kind of warmed up our half middle splits, but I like this one anyway. Now, try not to arch your lower back. I have a problem with this. I try and flatten it out, but it doesn't really work too well for me. You can still see it's still arched. All right, for our middle splits, hands on the ground and slowly slide out as far as you can, keeping your toes facing forward and your knees facing forward at this point. That's the kind of middle splits we want for now. You can see my stomach's on the ground, the insides of my legs are on the ground. I'm not pointing my feet at this stage. I'm just trying to get a really deep middle split stretch. If you can't go all the way to the ground, just hold yourself off the ground where you can. Okay, if that's as far as you can go, just hold it there and slowly work down lower and lower each time. You don't have to get flat in a day. It's a long journey to get middle splits if you're like me. But if you keep at it every day, you should be able to get it. Now, make sure your feet are in a straight line through your hips. A lot of people either have their bottom too far back or their bottom too far forward. You can check what your middle splits are like by now rolling your knees up to the ceiling, rolling your bottom back, and sitting in a straight flat straddle. Okay, so make sure your knees are straight, your feet are in a straight line with your hips, your flat back and your flat back. Your back is flat, and then just breathe. We'll work on straddle now. This is a really important position for all aerials and handstands. So I'm keeping my back straight, stretching forwards. When I go further down, I still don't round my back. I keep it nice and straight, arms straight, and all the way out. I keep my head up, and the most important thing is my belly button on the floor, not my head. Okay, you don't want to look like this. Look at my arch back. Yikes. Alright, that doesn't look very good. This is what it looks like from the side. You're not really getting much of a stretch. Push your belly button forward and that will get you more of a middle stretch. If you're having trouble with that position even there, put your hands behind yourself and push yourselves forward, okay? And if that's still a little bit hard, you can raise your bottom off the ground. I'm using a wooden handstand block, but use whatever you can. Just lift your bottom off the ground a little bit and stretch forward. A wooden handstand block wasn't the right thing to use. In hindsight, it was quite painful. Pike stretch. Flex feet, grab your toes or anywhere you can on your leg, and make sure you keep your back straight. Don't round your back like this. It's not really helping you. You're putting a lot of pressure on it. Okay, don't bend your knees either. Gross. Keep your knees nice and straight. Alright, straight knees, flat back. Gradually start moving forwards, trying to get your belly button on your thighs. A lot of people try and get their head on their feet, which we'll do in a second, but the main thing that I concentrate on is belly button on thighs. Point your feet, stretching forwards, head on your shins or wherever you can get it. If you're not getting enough of a stretch, you can grab one of your wrists underneath your feet, pulling yourself forwards. Cool. Stretch to your own ability. If you can only get your hands to your knees, that's fine. And again, like the straddle, if you're having trouble stretching forwards, just push yourself forwards from behind. Alina said I don't make my videos entertaining enough, so here's a video of me putting on some socks. I hope it makes you happy. But I tricked her because we need our socks for our advanced exercises. So we're going to work on sliding into splits and squeezing back up. This is more for the advanced kids who've been doing circus for a little while. Okay, you need to be able to do a flat split to do this. All the way down. Make sure you squeeze your legs together as you're coming back up. We're trying to build strength in our flexibility. Alright, so down into splits, push back up. Down into splits and squeeze back up. You probably can still do this if you don't have a flat a flat split, but it will be a bit harder and I don't want to injure you guys. I think you should work on a flat split first. Same thing as with your middle splits, down into middle and squeeze your legs together, back up. You want to squeeze and back up. The ultimate goal is to be able to do this without pushing on your hands. There's quite a few artists who do it as a trick. It looks very cool. I'm not one of those artists. This is immensely painful for me. Cool. The reason this works is PNF stretching, which is, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Basically what you want to do is stretch, and then you want to put tension in that stretch. So here I'm pushing down against the table. I'm activating all my muscles. Hold that for 10, I relax, and I make the stretch higher. And then I repeat. So I push down against where I'm stretching. So I'm activating the muscle that I'm about to stretch. And then I relax, and then I make the stretch a little bit higher. Effectively, the way I've had it explained to me is like you're making your rubber band bigger. If your muscles are a rubber band, if you make them bigger, it'll take a lot longer to snap them. All right? So you want to make your elastic band or your rubber band or your muscles bigger, and then you'll get more flexible. This is the last one. This isn't my most advanced exercise for now. It's called a slide through, and I really just kind of did it to see if I could still do it. But if you're in Freaks and Geeks or you want to go into contortion or anything like that, this is a really good one. You don't have to do it as slow and as laboured as I do it. You want to go down into straddle through middle splits to here. If you like, when you're in that back position, you can add a back arch in there. So push up into a seal or a cobra, whatever you want to call it. But I'm about to cry here, so I didn't do that. Good. Again, when you're doing this, only work to your own ability. Stretch to strain, not to pain. Don't bounce. Don't have someone push you. Get warm and stay warm. Do it every day. Consistency is key. Of course, have fun.